Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Spurs fans are fed up with Conte and I can't say that I blame them. I mean, ultimately, is Conte and Spurs going to part ways in the summer? I think it's inevitable. I think it has to happen. But, I listen, I read, and there are people out there. I heard Simon Jordan on TalkSport today saying it's disrespectful that Spurs fans want Conte to go. And I sort of understand that as well. But I think sometimes things are staring you in the face and this is just not going to work. And look, if Spurs fans want to keep him, and that's absolutely fine, and Conte wants to stay, maybe Conte committing and saying, I'm going to be here for 3 years and I'm going to get backed by new owners or these owners, that might be a way forward. But from where Spurs were a year ago to where they are this season, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You're playing Arsenal in a North London derby. Arsenal could win the league for the first time in nearly 20 years. It's at Spurs. You've got a real big chance to dent a hole. You beat Arsenal yesterday. They're only, 6 points ahead of United. United beat Palace. They go to Arsenal, 3 points behind them. Huge pressure. But Spurs roll over. Spurs roll over, and they roll over big time, like a little dog wanting a tickle. So I think it's unacceptable what Spurs are doing, and I think when you've got a manager like Conte, this is not reflective of the type of manager he is. It's not reflective of the type of club Spurs should be. And I think it's something that over a year into the project, you've got to see, they're going backwards. They are going backwards. I've said this so many times. I actually said United should go and get Conte when Solskjaer got the sack, and people will pull that out and go ha 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 because people live in the moment. They're like, an opinion that was valid 18 months ago can be terrible now, but in 6 months it might be good again, because that's how football is. It changes all the time. When Spurs brought Conte in, I thought it was a really good move, and you got Champions League football, so it was a good move. Conte's not a bad manager because people think, ha ha ha, anyone who wanted Conte, look at you now. He achieved what he did. He came into the club in October, very difficult, no pre-season, no transfer window, took the club to Champions League football, had a front three that was scoring more goals than anybody from January to May, played quite good football. There was a few occasions where I thought they looked a bit bad, but they played generally good football. You look at them this season. I've dipped into Spurs in August, September, October, now January. Very consistent, very consistently boring, and it just isn't working. So I think that as things stand now, Conte and Spurs will part way in the summer. I think he will want to go, and I think Spurs would need to be moving it on, because you can lose, but you cannot give in. You can lose, but you must play well. And Spurs are giving in and they're not playing well. And going into that North London derby, it's a one-off game, I know, but it is a mark in the sand. It's more significant than any other game. Spurs at home to Arsenal. But this has been coming for a long time. They're a really poor side to watch. They've got some really good players, but their best players, Kulusevski, Son and Kane, are having bad seasons. But where's the support? Where's the supply line? It's all very, very defensive. And for a defensive side, they haven't got good defenders. I mean, Romero's okay, but apart from that, there's no defender there that I'd go, I wish they were a Man United player. I really wouldn't want any of their players in their back five. There's no player. And United were a terrible team last season, and I wouldn't want any of their defenders. And that says a hell of a lot. I'd probably take Romero. That's it. That is it. And for a team that's meant to be, well, they don't play very attacking football, so you'd think, well, the defence is good. They're not even very good at defending. So it's a double negative, really, for Spurs. Very defensive, not very good at it. 3 very good attackers, 4 if you count Richarlison, not very good at attacking. So where's the excuse for that? And I think as a Spurs fan, or as an owner or a director of football, or whatever the setup is at Spurs, you have to ask that question. Yes, Conte's a fantastic manager, absolutely is. And is Spurs really what Conte wants? Is the passion there? He's very dismissive in interviews. Almost submissive in interviews. I don't feel that this has ever been a project, apart from those first few months where Conte and Spurs have had a long-term vision. And you look at the Premier League now, and people will be lazy and say a manager like Conte doesn't work in the Premier League. It didn't work with Mourinho. But I think Conte's football can be in line with what the Premier League is. But I think what's not in line is, for some reason, maybe because he's not looking long term, he's trying to go down the grind it out route. But I don't think grinding it out in the Premier League works anymore. Look at Brighton, look at Brentford, look at Fulham. These teams are just having a go, and they're actually doing really, really well. And they will go past Spurs if Spurs aren't very, very careful. But I think the lack of a long-term vision at Spurs has hurt them. They got Champions League football in the summer. They did spend money, but it never felt like this was a job for 3 or 4 years. I don't think, as well, the players that Spurs bought in were the players that Conte wanted. I mean, Jed Spence, a prime example of that. Really good young right-back who should be coming in and playing games. You're picking Emerson Royale and Doherty. That doesn't make any sense. Whatever you think about Spence, I think he is a good young right-back who should be getting game time at Spurs. And maybe there's better reasons than I know, but it doesn't make sense. They bought Bassum. What a good signing he was. Doesn't fit Spurs. Bassum should have gone to Arsenal or Liverpool or somewhere like that. He probably would have been one of their best signings. In fact, I think Liverpool would be a better team with Basuma in it, because I don't think Basuma is a bad player. I don't think he's become a bad player. I think he's a player in a system where Conte just wants to pick the players he wants. So it was a really weird summer. It didn't feel like the club recruitment was in tune with what Conte wanted, and there is no long-term vision. And you look at Ten Hag and you look at Arteta and you look at what Klopp and Pep have done before and what's successful in the Premier League. Well, Liverpool and Man City have dominated the Premier League for the last few years, and they brought managers in who want to repair the club from top to bottom with a long-term vision. Arteta has done that at Arsenal. They're reaping the benefits. They're the favourite for the title. And Ten Hag is doing that at Manchester United, and he's transformed it. If you want success, and look, every period of football goes in, waves. The wave at the moment is, yes, expansive football, and it's great to see the so-called lesser teams do that. We've mentioned Brighton, etc. But also vision, long-term vision. And I think that Spurs don't have a long-term vision. It's very short-term, and it's also a vision that doesn't seem to be that they're not on the same page at all. The players are not on the same page as the manager's plans, and I don't think the club's on the same page, and I don't think Conte is committed. So, look, people can say it's dramatic to say that Conte and Spurs will part ways in the summer. People can say it's disrespectful of Spurs to think they can get a better manager than Conte, and they probably can't on Wikipedia. Conte is very, very good. But Mourinho at Manchester United didn't really work, but Mourinho did deliver a couple of trophies. And I think with Conte, I've never felt like he's really into it at Spurs. At Chelsea, at Juventus, you saw he was in for it. Inter Milan as well. But I don't feel like at Spurs he's fully committed, and that's what Conte is. Conte is a... When I wanted him at Manchester United, when we had Solskjaer, and to be honest, I wanted Brendan Rodgers. It shows you how desperate I was, but I wouldn't have minded Conte. And what I liked about him is he's a firecracker, isn't he? He's aggressive, he's passionate, he's driven. I don't see that at Spurs, and I don't think things are going to change. We're into January now. I don't see Spurs just suddenly going on a good run. The only good run that Spurs can go on is if they grind results out, and I don't think teams are scared. When Spurs play Brighton, I think Brighton will beat them. I think that anybody that has a go at Spurs will beat them. I think Man City, we're going to do the watch along on Thursday. I actually did this video today because I think it's going to build more momentum. I know people are talking about will Conte stay or go, but I think it's going to build momentum, because the most important thing as well is when you talk about a club being in crisis like Liverpool and Chelsea, I can see the way out. They are in crisis, but I can see the way out. I don't see a way out for Spurs. Spurs are in crisis, but they're always in crisis, some would say. But I don't see a way out. I don't think they're suddenly going to go and win 5 games in a row. I don't think they're suddenly going to play football that their fans are happy with. I don't think Conte's suddenly going to start getting, like the old Conte, where he's in it for the long run and he's focused and he's passionate. I think they're drifting. And like a piece of wood drifting down the river, the distance gets bigger from you. And I think that Spurs are drifting down the river. I don't see any... I don't see anybody on that driftwood swimming back and fighting to get back. That they're against the tide, and the tide's taking them further away, and I expect that to continue. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. I could be wrong. Anybody can be wrong, but I do take notice of a lot of Spurs fans, and I know there's different opinions. And look, maybe Simon Jordan's right. Maybe it's disrespectful for a club like Spurs to get rid of a manager like Conte, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You could marry the dream girl or boy of your life and think, oh my God, I'm I'm punching up here. They're way, they're almost too good for me. Then you start spending time together. You don't like the films they're watching. You're not really interested. They're going to bed early. You want to stay up late. You're just not compatible. And I just don't think Conte and Spurs are compatible. And I think it's from both sides. But Conte's under contract. He's not going to sit there and go, I want to go in the summer. I can see him going back to Italy or PSG or something like that. Maybe even Spain. And look, where Spurs go next, that's premature. But you've got to live out the rest of the season. But this just isn't working, and anybody can see that. So let's see what happens. What a weekend of Premier League football, though. By the way, to end it on a positive, what a weekend of Premier League football. I was doing the football fill-in with Ben Foster earlier. That'll be on his channel, and just absolutely loving it at the moment. Arsenal incredible, good win for Chelsea. The relegation battle is just flipped on its head. Man United beating Man City, of course, in the derby. Spurs obviously losing to Arsenal. Chelsea getting a win at last. Newcastle getting a really important win. There is only one team that's mid-table in this Premier League at the moment. That's Aston Villa. They're the only real mid-table team. One team out of 20 really is in sort of a bit of the dull zone. Everybody else is either in a relegation battle, a top four race, a title race. It's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. Get your comments in below anyway. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you on the next one.